What's up, everyone? This is Jai from Couch and Keyboard, and here we are, the third installation of this series, the best players of each character, the GOATs, and this one is going to be Samus. Now, Samus is a character that I have had a lot of experience with, usually against Samus or watching Samus. I haven't played Samus much myself. She's a little bit confusing to play as sometimes. I feel like my style isn't really mesh well, but I do really like Samus. I think the idea of having like a floaty heavy character with a lot of projectiles, I think is a really cool mix. Now I think sometimes Samus is just feels like incomplete, whether not always represented by in Smash what her games are, or it has kind of been left the same. I think there's been some things that have been changed that have been nice. But overall, like I think Samus, if there were to be a Smash 6 with Samus in it, I think they could do some unique things or kind of like splinter off. But let's go ahead and get into it. So this is kind of like my what I think of when I compare all of these players. Rankings and wins are going to be the main ones. Event placements alongside that, usually there's a correlation there, but also I'm going to consider a little bit of how good the character is in the game. And I'm going to be more recency favored because meta progression, like naturally every Smash game, besides ones that are like kind of like regressed in terms of like focus, like if people are playing it, generally the meta is going to progress, leading to optimization of play styles and all that. Now, I think that modern Ultimate and modern Melee are the hardest avenues of competing. Early Ultimate, pretty difficult as well. Smash 4 and then that kind of era of Melee as well. Then 64 and PM and then everything else. I think that, yeah, like even though some, like PM has a smaller player base, the meta is still really advanced right now, so I think it's about the same. And then here is Samus's tier list placement. So I went through, some of these had better cataloging than others, but not the best character in the first iteration, 64. Steadily been pretty solid around like that 10 to 11 spot for Melee. And Brawl, bad. Samus is bad. Now, in Brawl, Zero Suit Samus was released, and so even though that was meant to be kind of like, even like the final Smash was like, oh, Samus is getting in the suit and now she's more powerful. No, she just goes down 4 tiers or whatever. Which a lot of it was based off of like being able to use the suit as projectiles in the first part of the game. But Zero Suit Samus is not going to be included in this part. We'll do it in a later video. But yeah, Smash 4, not very good either. Ended stronger than it started. At one point, they said it was one of the worst characters in the game. Ultimate, very solid character. People agree being in the top third of the game, or even top quarter of the game. Project M used to be good. People consider Samus to be one of the worst in the game currently. HDR, there wasn't really much. I saw that she was like all right. Brawl Minus, people consider her not that good. And then Smash Flash, good in the first one, really good in the second one. But yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the players for each. Now, Smash 64, I did not find much Samus. I saw like Isaiah would go some. I think Soto was one of the more notable ones. You have Josuke. That was like, I think more of a Japanese player. Didn't really travel to the States very much, but a few people tried him out. Jamie HR, Super Boom fan. I saw that Hammerheart is pretty good, but overall, not a ton of Samus representation in this list, just comparatively. But there's been a few that were like ranked like 30 something, so not bad. For Melee, that's when Samus started to hit her stride a little bit. And I mean, these are some household names: Plup, Hugs, Duck, Morse Code. Then yeah, so a little bit more old school ones like Esam, Daryl, Wes. There's also Webbin, Swooper, some stylish ones like YCZ. A few people have tried it out, like Chillin. Used to try a little bit of Samus here and there. Zimberfizz from North Carolina, shout outs. Been doing decent. I think Polch is MDVA as well. Yeah, I think Samus is a character that's like, it's been said to be a gimmick, and there is matchup dependencies, but Samus can be pretty good. And sometimes can be a real roadblock for some players. Next one, Samus is bad in this game. So there's only a few that I saw. Hugs, I think, tried Samus early on and then switched to Rob real fast. But yeah, like YB, Zyro, Quick, even like some other players like Sago and Rishi who would play other games more, but would try out Samus here and there. Smash 4, my big experience was getting in during Smash 4, so I played a few Samuses, not very often, and like yeah, I would play against a few, but Esam had a Samus as a secondary. Icy Mist and Quick were both really up there. You had others like Parme, Joker, Lightning, Igarashi, Johnny Westside. I think West played a little bit. And then Ultimate is where we've seen a lot of Samus representation. Siski, Icy Mist, Teaser, Quick, Yara, Tora. Albadongo used to play a little bit. Raffalo, I think, used to be a Samus like secondary, I think, after Palutena, and is now playing more Game & Watch. A few here and there. Some people keep playing. I know Fantasia is in North Carolina. Train and Sever were in MDVA at some point. A few players, popping up here and there. It seems to be pretty top heavy. But yeah, I've had experience against playing against some Samuses. Shoutouts to Pyro and Frostalus. Me being Yoshi and Ultimate, we're just floating around. Also in Melee, I used to play someone's PC. He would beat me most of the time, but I got one. So that was pretty impressive for me, just because Marth Samus at the time seemed very challenging. Not to say that Martha's bad, but it was just, it was surprising that I got that win. And then we have a little bit of PM representation, not very much. I didn't go super in depth. But a lot of players that tried Samus in Melee would also play her in PM. Smash Flash saw a few players. Some of this is not really like they don't have a ton of events. I think they also depend on online some. But some people try out Samus and doing all right. Tim Prater, shoutouts from the last video, was a Samus main. Saul had a decent Samus in HDR. Some of the other mods didn't really see many players from that. But yeah, so Samus has had a lot of representation across all titles. I think that while she's never been like top tier, she's always been like solid, or at least like a niche counter pick. And here we have our honorable mentions. Now, a lot of these players are really close. Like these three Ultimate players are very close. I think that Parme has the most like top 30 wins, but doesn't have like as high of a top win compared to Tora, who has a Raru win, which Raru has switched off of Luigi in the past for other Samuses. We'll kind of explain later. And was top 150 4 different times. It's pretty good. Joker, shout out to another Mexican player. I mentioned Meme earlier, or Meme, whatever. And got an ESAM win, and it was top 100 in early Ultimate. And then also we have Melee player Wevins, was number 41 in 2024. One of the best Samuses of that year. And then also we have Wes. I have some people telling me I need to respect my elders, show love to the OGs. And so here I have Wes. I was thinking about putting Teaser. Teaser had a few good wins, but Wes was top 10 for 4 years, the early parts of Melee, in the Smash in general. So I'll give props to Wes. And here we are. Our number 10 is the Swooper. Now, the Swooper has had some recent, post-COVID results that have been pretty notable. Namely, getting a Cody win. Now, Cody was top 5 at this time, and eventually would be 1 and 2 for several years. This kind of took him down a little bit. This was at Nightclub VIP, and it was pretty surprising. That tournament was kind of chaotic, but still did very well. Also has some ACLO wins. Being in Tri-State, you have access to these players. One of the stronger regions for Melee. Also has some wins in the Ice Climber matchup, which you will see a lot of Ice Climbers as wins on this list. between Slug, Nikki, Chudat, Bananas. Just has a lot of good wins. Some spacey wins as well. Zuppy, Hax, Zamu, Skurzo, 404 Cray, SFAT. So it seems to be a very much like certain matchups Swooper is very good in. And was top 100 pre-COVID, and then multiple different seasons was pretty solid. For the summer was 27, then went down to 33 for the year, and then was also ranked the year after. Haven't seen a ton from Swooper, but still very good, having a lot of solid wins. And yeah, I think that while Swooper doesn't have the longest catalog of playing, still did very well. Also got some puff wins against Dawson. That's sometimes a tough matchup. So props to Swooper. Good stuff. Now, number 9 is Esam. Now, some people are probably either confused for this being too low or too high, depending on what you know Esam from. Now, Esam spent a lot of time competing in Melee. I've heard there's two potential meanings for his tag, where either it's Eric sucks at Melee or Eric Samus. I don't know which one is real. I think that's Eric sucks at Melee is the real one. I don't know. But Esam has played Samus across multiple games. Started playing in like the late Melee, early Brawl days, and didn't really play Samus and Brawl. As we mentioned, Samus and Brawl sucked. Instead of going for ZSS, went for Pikachu, and so Esam is known to be Samus and Pikachu. Pretty much only playing Samus in Melee, and got some good wins. Nothing too crazy. Got some Falco wins, some Marth wins, beat some Ice Climbers, and yeah. So did pretty good. Got ranked 4 different years in the top 100, and wasn't a main really for Smash 4, but this win right here shook the world. I mean, huge pop off. People were so surprised by it because and also seemed to be a pretty good Mario pick for him. I remember Mario being pretty good against Pikachu, and thinking about it, Samus seems to do all right against Mario as well. Not only outranges based on projectiles, but Samus is just pretty tall, and so you can do some back airs, you can do some tilts. I imagine it's a little bit hard for Mario to get in sometimes, but yeah, this win especially incredible. Also in early PM did pretty good. Beat Armada, got some other good wins. Later, beat I Punch Kids, a really good Lucario. More of like more of an actual PM player rather than just a Melee or Smash 4 player playing PM. So props to Esam. Peaked at number 68 in Melee. Never really mained Samus in Smash 4, but was a decent counter pick, and then is also in the top 60, near top 50 for all-time PM players. One combo breaker with Samus only in Smash 4. In PM, got 4th at Skatar, and then in Melee, got 13th at SmashCon 2016. Was also voted in for Melee for that summit, and did all right against, I think Armada's Fox and Cruz. Did pretty good there. That I won't count that for this, but it was clearly he's solid. And they had a weird format to where it was Summit 2. They didn't do round robin pools. They just did double elim. So I think had Esam played more players, we could have seen more. I think only took a game off of Shroom or something. But still pretty good. And across 3 different games, that's impressive. I could see this argued. I feel like 7 through 10 is really close here. So if you disagree with a placing here and there, that is totally fine. You can make your own list. Now next is Quick. We have someone who's played Samus a lot. Now, hasn't played much Melee. I just saw it on their data to where they play Samus. In Brawl and Smash 4 was more of a ZSS player and hasn't played much Melee, but is mainly known for playing Ultimate. I didn't see too many notable wins early on, and again was going ZSS anyway. So Quick is mainly known for being an Ultimate player and has a lot of wins. I mean, some of these are very good. 3 Gluto wins, and Gluto has a lot of Samus experience, as we'll get to soon. Now, being in Germany, being nearby some other countries like France with Raflo Crepe Soleil, Gluto, UK with Bloom Forever, And in Germany, I believe Tarek is also German. Um, but yeah, a decent amount of good wins. Also some like North American wins with like Ouch, Base Mage, JDV, stuff like that. So Karama, Lima. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. And this was an abridged season because we didn't have too many tournaments, but had a really strong showing in early 2020. It was number 23. Now, I think it's like mostly being good in this early part of Ultimate. Again, I value more later Ultimate. And was 70 in 2022? That's still good. Second at Syndicate 2019, fifth at Icarus, ninth at King Khan. That was pretty good. Like, we have a decent amount of good wins here. I think that a lack of, like, it seems like it didn't really enter that much in 2024. Haven't seen much 2025. But I do think Quick has a lot of longevity. And, I mean, Quick definitely. I remember it was like some tournament where it was like, I think it was Gluto and then two Samuses in top three. And it was like, dang, like you got into the Samus matchup. And so Quick has kind of fallen out of like top two Samus in conversation about Ultimate, but still up there. Still really good. And if they entered more, I could see going up a little bit. Now, number 7. 8 and 7, I think especially, were very close. Next, we have Icy Mist. Now, if you look at rankings themselves, it looks like Quick should be above Icy Mist. But I do think Icy Mist has a slight edge here. Being from technically tri-state, but I feel like, especially like in the Pittsburgh area, that's a little bit more Midwest. Because the tri-state area is like, you know, New York, New Jersey, and then a little bit of northern Pennsylvania. Doesn't go to a tri-state a ton, is more Midwestern. Got a lot of really solid Smash 4 wins. Is pretty much like the best, almost by default, the best Samus main in Smash 4. Like, yeah, we saw ESAM have a really good win there, but I think Icy Mist was more consistent with Samus overall. I mean, some of these wins are very good. DeBuzz, Mars, Wrath, Ned, like these wins are very good. And while there isn't a ton compared to later on, I still think that's worth giving props for, because Samus was not good in Smash 4. Yeah, you have some Zera stuff. Maybe you have like the, what's it called? Like the shiny spark or whatever. The random uppies off the top. But yeah, I think Icy Mist has a solid Smash 4 career. And then Ultimate has done even better. Now, Samus is a better character, but I remember there's just in these like random upsets that happen, it's like, yo, Icy Mist can just pull it off at any point. And I remember I was at SmashCon Fall Fest, one of the first big majors after COVID. And I was so surprised because ESAM was favored to win the event, like at least in like the top 3. And ESAM lost really early, once to Apollo Kage and then one to Icy Mist. Those are both surprising because ESAM had his doubles partner and training partner was MVD, Really Good Snake. So AK beating ESAM was impressive. But also Icy Mist beating ESAM when ESAM is so familiar with Samus. Now obviously, you know, sometimes styles make fights, and having it played against you doesn't mean, like, it's a little bit different. How much ESAM played against Samus, I don't really know. But it was just really impressive. And then later on, I forget if it was SmashCon or Supernova at the time, but Icy Mist got a Sonic's win. Seems to be a pretty good against Samus, beating Wrath in Smash 4, Sonic's in Ultimate. I wouldn't think that Samus would do that amazing against Sonic, but I mean, I guess you get to just shoot the gun a little bit. You have, you know, pretty good like long attacks. So yeah, big props. Also beat AK themselves and has a bunch of other good wins. Like Toon, Riddles, Shattuck, Shiny Mark. Seems to be pretty good in the Pikachu matchup. Also Syrup, when Syrup wasn't quite as good. Toast, shout out the young Link. And yeah, just a Jazzo, a good spread of victories. Winning, I'm from MDVA, and so when I was aware that Icy Mist won Xanadu Homecoming 500 edition. Like, that was pretty surprising. I did not think Icy Mist was going to win that. And it wasn't like, it wasn't the craziest win ever, but it was still notable. I think it was like a C or D tier. And then, got 33rd, I think 3 Smash Cons in a row. And then also got 4th at Riptide. So yeah, really solid. Now, I think after Icy Mist, I think these top 6 are all pretty close. It was difficult. I felt like 7 through 10 and then like 1 through 6. And some of you might get mad at me. That's okay. You're allowed to get mad. Just take it easy. Now, Hugs. Hugs 86. Classic Samus. Well known by so many people. Hugs had a very long career. At the retro rank, he was number 8 in 2008. Very solid. Once actual rankings came out, we saw number 20, 2015, constantly in like that top 25. Like he has the longevity like no one else. Almost entirely Samus. Like, I don't think he ever really played a different character, like hardly at all. I think maybe tried like Sheik a little bit. But Hugs was not known to play other characters. He was a Samus player. And one of the best, like, well-known Samuses of all time. Now, he didn't have any, like, super-duper top-level wins. He has an early Mango win, getting 2nd at Evo 2007 behind Ken. Beat Mango's Puff. And I think Mango was, like, considered to be number 8 around that year. Also got a PC Chris win pretty early. Has Zayn and Cody wins and Amsa wins. But this was, like, pre-COVID, when I don't think they were quite as valuable. Has some SFAT wins. Has a few Ice Climber wins. People know about an Ice Climber loss of his. But beat Bananas. Beat Nintendude. Has, a few floaty wins, including in the Ditto. And yeah, just had a really solid career. I think that while Hugs didn't quite have the peak of some later Samuses that you're going to see, I think Hugs was just really consistent, and I remember the beef that Hugs had with Jill and Dude with all the raps and stuff. Dude, that was some good stuff. Yeah, I also met Hugs at SmashCon one year. He was pretty cool. Been aware of him for a while, and so it feels like while it doesn't have quite the peaks of Icy Mist, I think has a longevity of like a long time. And has been in the conversation for a while. Now, Hugs hasn't really competed very much. Kind of doing the grown-up stuff, looking like a Chad up here. But, yeah, I think that Hugs is very impressive for a career. And just because he's not top 5 doesn't mean he's not impressive. I just think that these next Samuses have higher peaks and a decent amount of longevity. Or the peaks are just so strong that you can't ignore them. But still, number 6 for Hugs. Very solid. Now, the next... Number 5, this is very close. I have Duck. Now, Duck, being from Michigan, has a few of the Michigan players that he's very familiar with. You have like KJH and a lot of kind of coming up, and was doing pretty good, and then kind of came out of nowhere. Leffen being known as a player that doesn't know the Samus matchup very well. It was later proven when Duck beat Leffen. And Duck also beat H-Box at a Canada Cup in set 1 of Grand Finals. Now, if you want to say that H-Box wasn't trying because he had a set to give, whatever. But dude, like, Samus does not beat H-Box very often. It was very surprising. Also has a decent amount of good wins, like Amsa, like a bunch of Axe wins, a Zane win, and also a really good event win at Pass House 3. This was like, it was a super regional, I believe, and it was a pretty big win for Samus at the time. Like, people considered it to be, at least for Melee, the biggest event that a Samus has won. And so I think that gives a lot of props. Was number 14 twice, also 15 the year before. Duck hasn't competed very much. I think Duck has been playing some Marth, entered here and there, but like doesn't have as much longevity as Hugs. But I mean, getting some of these wins here, that's just really impressive, and is positive on Hugs in the Ditto. I believe up 3-2. Yeah, really good against a lot of Foxes. Also pretty good against some Marths as well. He used to Pew Pew was going Falcon. It was so bad. Like, this is why when I was playing Marth, Samus is just like, oh, Marth wins neutral, but Samus has 6 stocks. Like, that was kind of the thing. But yeah, also getting some Sheik wins, Swedish Delight, shout outs. So yeah, Duck, I think it's top 5. Now, this was also really challenging. Number 4, I have Plup. Some people think that Plup is too high. Some people think that Plup is the GOAT. It's tough. But I do think that Plup has crazy peaks. Now, Plup was a Florida player for a while. HBox's doubles partner, not traveling a ton, but starting to appear a lot more. Now, playing Samus early on, like the 2010s, eventually got ranked number 27 in 2013, number 16 in 2014, very solid. And then started going Samus more as a secondary, picking up Sheik, picking up Fox later on in these years, and also playing a little bit of PM, but mainly playing Meta Knight, not playing very much Samus. But I think looking at some of these wins, it's just incredible. So beating Leffen twice, one was at Evo, so big stage, crazy. Also beating HBox twice early on, I think like 2011, something like that. And then also was playing Samus occasionally later on. And because, like, yeah, he got ranked after this, but Samus wasn't listed as one of his characters. So I didn't include it. But beat Jmook like 18 months ago with Samus. That's pretty crazy. Also, I mean, beating Spark pretty recently, Mott Money. Yeah, pretty impressive. I understand if you think that this is overreacting, but just looking at these top wins, Jmook, modern Jmook, and then Leffen twice, HBox twice, like HBox was still really good. And maybe there was a local, like whatever. But I think that Plup deserves a lot of credit. Now, if it was going at players, Plup would be number 1 on this list. But Plup has a lot of Sheik and Fox success, not as much with Samus. So I think Plup is difficult to rank here. I could see you moving Plup down to like 7 if you really wanted to value longevity more. But I think Plup's peaks with Samus are incredible. And I could see you putting Duck above Plup, but I probably wouldn't put Plup below that. And I think you have to separate the player from the character a little bit. So I don't think Plup should go any higher. But still super impressive from Plup. I think like a big impact. I mean, those matchups against Hugs and like the I didn't include the Salty Sweet. I think he beat Hugs outside of that. But I mean that woke people up. Like, oh shoot, Hugs, who's been the best Samus for a long time, is not the best Samus anymore, and Plup was to blame for that. So here we are to the top 3, and this was tough. I feel like number 3 is pretty solid, above 4 through 6 and below 1 through 2, but still really strong. We have Siski, Bola. That was just a classic thing spammed in Twitch chats all the time. Thumbs up, Bola. It has really good peaks. Not the longest career ever. Only really playing like post. I'm not sure. I think Eclipse was post COVID. So Siski really didn't get any notable results pre-COVID, but then came back and has had a really strong career in the past like 4 years. And so peak beating Hurt and Spargo, very good there. 7 Gluto wins, and then also beating T, Tweak, Zomba, Yoshidora, Riddles, a bunch. Tons of Rafflo wins. Spain and France being pretty close. And some other pretty good Japanese players I have a lot of experience against Samus. So, yeah, Siski, very good. Peaked at number 17 at one point, was also 21 for the year. Managed to get ranked in both NA and EU in the 3rd ranking for ult rank. And so that was pretty impressive. And fallen off a little bit, but is still really strong. So I give a lot of credit to Siski. I mean, Siski and Quick have been a pretty good 1-2 punch for Europe getting some experience in the Samus matchup. And yeah, like Rafflo has pretty much had to have a Game & Watch ready for these Samuses. Just being able to use Bucket and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think Siski's really impressive. Smash 4, not a ton of experience there. And people agree that Europe is much stronger in Ultimate compared to Smash 4. Like they have a lot of top talent in Ultimate. But yeah, did get second at UFA, multiple top eights at bigger events. Yeah, I think Siski's very impressive, and I'm curious to see how much Siski's going to enter in the future. But you can look at some of his crazy tweets. Also, he's quite the character. But yeah, props to Siski. Top 2, I changed last minute. I don't know if you want to call me biased. I don't know, but it's tough. Both players are incredible and are really pushing the character in the modern age. But number 2, I have Yara. Now, Yara's list of wins is crazy. Being in Japan, you have a lot of access to these players, especially if you're in, one of the more populated areas. But you don't just go there and get wins for free. 4 Mia wins, Spargo, 4 Hertz, 2 Yoshidora, Raru Protobanum, Shuton, I think, which Olimar is tough for Samus because the Pikmin get to body block. I think Uame is also an Olimar, at least in this matchup. And yeah, I mean, I think Samus is pretty good against Shotos. We've seen Jazo on this list a few times. But yeah, also beating Snow, Samus Mario. Ken, I think Ken's been going Sonic. But yeah, just a variety of really good wins. Hadn't traveled a ton to North America. We see Battle of BC. Battle of BC did a great job of getting Japanese players close to the States at least. But yeah, this has a long list of good wins, peaking at 13th for the first year, 2024. Didn't really enter much in the second half of the year, but even this past year was nearly top 25. Really good. I think this was the event he beat Spargo at. Third at CEO, third at Delta number 10, a top 8 at Umebura. Very, very good. People that know Yara, because I feel like it was like Siski over Yara for a while. That was kind of like the top 2. And Icy Mist and Quick are both up there, but Yara started doing very well. And I think that Yara has overtaken Siski. When you compare the rankings, they've been really close multiple times. But I think Yara has been doing better recently and just has more wins. Now, if you say that if Siski was in Japan more often, would Siski get more wins? Maybe. But in the world we live in, Yara has gotten a ton of wins in Japan, traveled a little bit, done pretty well, and has just been really impressive. So, this might be my bias, but I love Morse Code. Let's go, baby. I think Morse Code is the best Samus of all time. Maybe you think I'm wrong. That is okay. Morse Code. 2 wins on Cody and Jmook, back-to-back in Modern Melee. 2023, 2024. Boom, boom. It was unheard of. Especially those first wins was like, what in the world? How is he doing this? Sheik Samus is known to be bad. Yeah, Cody dropped a set to Swooper. I think lost to Hugs early on. Yeah, the Samus tax for an up-and-coming Fox, that happens. But also being Jmook, which Jmook is upsettable, but this was peak Jmook, where he was just incredible. And then he does it the next year again. Oh my god, bro. And then getting wins on Joshman, Nikki, Sunsei, Moki, Axe and Salt. Just a ton. I mean, a lot of Ice Climber wins if you look at Nikki, Moff, Bananas. Just tons of good wins. But also is one of the best PM players of all time. And people agree that PM Samus is not that good. Now, I think PM Samus also has the ability to switch to Ice Mode or whatever, and it's considered to be even worse. I don't see Morse going that very much. But I just remember, I like PM. I'm a PM appreciator, and when Morse could beat my boy Switch 2 different times, I was like, shoot, that's pretty crazy. And, I mean, also beating Tech Boy, one of the, I think was top 5 all time in PM. And I believe they're also Michigan, which is pretty funny that 2 of the best Samuses of all time are both from Michigan. But yeah, Morse Code also getting a lavish win in Ultimate. Played a little bit of Ultimate here and there. And yeah, I mean, beating Rat Monster in both games, no easy feat. Also gotten some wins on Blitz, who has also been a really good Ike. Beating a lot, Professor Pro, Dirt Boy, Ellipsis, just really, really solid. And I mean, Ginger, KJH, who have that duck experience. So I think like getting those wins is really impressive. And was top 100 2018, kind of snuck in there. More of a PM player at the time, being like near top 20 both years, and top 10 for 3 different seasons. And I'm pretty sure this all-time ranking came out before the end of 2025. So he'd probably be top 20 all-time at this point. And regressed a little bit in 2025. We just saw these huge wins in 18 and 21 in these 2 years. Not quite as good, but he just comes out of nowhere. And I keep telling people, I want Zane and Morris to play. I think that'd be so interesting. I think they played like once or twice, and it was like pre-COVID. And I think that even though Zane's a better player than he was, I think Morris is also better. And Morris has a ton of ossified experience. So I think that Zane versus Morse Code would be an incredible set. I know it's been funny to, Zane loses to Pikachu, loses to Ice Climbers, loses to Yoshi, loses to DK, loses to Luigi, and just another Mitchie for Zane to play. And I like Zane, but I want to see Zane and Morse play. I think that Morse could get that win. And I think that Morse is the GOAT of Samus. Now, if you look at placings themselves, Morse usually enters only big events. I think this was kind of a smaller event. Winning some PM stuff. When you look at Melee, he's been I think he's gotten 9th 3 times at Gommel, which Michigan, Toronto, pretty close. He doesn't travel a ton. But I do think, and that's kind of why I think that you could maybe give it to Yara, just because of how much good wins that Yara has gotten. But I think that Samus is technically numerically higher in Ultimate, but there's much fewer characters. I think it's like 11 to 13, and Samus is in a higher tier. So I don't think that characters really play at in between the games. But PM is smaller. It's not as big of a scene, but Samus is one of the worst characters in the game. And I think that putting all these together, I counted top 10 level wins, and I think Morse Code had 2 or 3 more. So it's super close. I could see an argument for 1 and 2 switching. If you think that Siski is higher, I can see that. This list was very challenging. It is a lot of good players. I was not expecting it. I knew I wouldn't have to dig to the bottom of the barrel. I've heard of a lot of these players, but it was pretty crazy how close so many of them are. We haven't seen a consistent top 10 in Melee for Samus for a while. We see that Puff, it can be challenging for Samus sometimes. There's certain matchups you do great against Ice Climbers. You get some spaces here and there, but maybe Marth, but some characters are tough. And so yeah, I do think that I'm not sure if Morse can get back to this peak. And I think that Yara has better momentum recently to pass Morse Code, but I do think what Morse has done to this point is just a little bit better. And yeah, so this is our 3rd video in the series, and I think that we're doing okay on subs for reaching that. I did lower it this time. Instead of going by 200, I went 200, 400. Now we're only doing 100 at a time. So Daniel was the only one nominated for this first one, so I'm going to give $50 to Daniel. Already did, in fact. And this vote is started. I saw Mudskip, trying to get a little bit of attention there. Props to Mudskip. And Samus. There's a lot of good players. I mean, Zimberfizz got a Moth win recently. I know Daryl enters occasionally in NorCal. There's a few, Icy Mist. I think Icy Mist has a lot of potential. So, let me know who you want to be nominated for Samus to get the revenue from this video. Minimum $50. So maybe it's not that much, but anything helps for a lot of these players. Props. And please subscribe to do this. It helps with monetization for this channel. And kind of want to use it to support players, this channel in general. I have some more ideas. I'm going to try and finish all of the Smash characters at least that are ones that are in Ultimate, like the history of official Smash. This year, I'm going to try and start doing them twice a week. Probably not this next week, but I'm going to do a lot of the characters that are in Melee, so the ones that are in the majority of the Smash games, and then I'm going to do some ones that are in less games. Going to hopefully be a little bit faster the process, but yeah. I appreciate you watching. The next character is a Melee newcomer that he's a pretty light character, a very light character, and can has a good recovery. That's my hint. If you want to find out who it is, join our Discord. You can join our research team. If you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I know my rankings sometimes are a little unpopular, but hey, make your own list. And yeah. Appreciate you watching. Have a great day.